Hey, welcome to the Soulful Kitchen. I'm Aria, and in today's video, we're going to be making white chicken chili with a loaded spoon bread that we're then going to top off with the jalapeno honey butter sauce. Okay, so to start off, here behind me, I have an 8-quart pot that I'm letting heat up to a low to medium temperature. I'm then going to add some olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom. I'll then be putting in a spoonful of minced garlic. Here I have an entire white onion that I chopped up that I'll be adding in as well. And then I'll be adding in 1 4-ounce container of chopped jalapeños and 2 4-ounce containers of diced chilies.
Although my pan was on a low to medium heat, by the time I added in the garlic and onions and chilies and jalapenos, as you see here, the pan was pretty hot. But nonetheless, like I said, you can see me adding them in here, and then I just mixed them all together and let them cook down until the onions got soft.
Okay, so we've got our onions and jalapenos and green chilies and that garlic behind us cooking down, and we're gonna let those cook down until the onions are soft. And once they are, I'm then going to add in the juice of 1 entire lime. But in the meantime, here I have 2 chicken breasts that in total weigh about 3.5 pounds together, and I'm gonna go ahead and season those.
So I seasoned my chicken with some cumin, some onion powder, some garlic salt, and some fresh cracked black pepper. And although I did exact measurements of these seasonings for the soup itself, I kind of just seasoned these until it seemed right. And you want to be sure to do both sides just so that there's flavor all around. So as you can see here, I'm squeezing the juice of an entire lime into my pot of garlic, onions, and peppers. And one thing that I like to do while I'm juicing limes is pop them into the microwave for about 30 seconds. And then when I take it out, roll it around for a little bit to really get the juices flowing. So after having added the juice of an entire lime, I then added a little more oil to the pan so that when I added my chicken breast, they didn't stick. I then let my chicken cook for about 7 minutes on each side. So once the chicken was done cooking, I then took it out of the pot so that I could shred it. But as I took it out, I then added in 32 ounces of chicken broth and 2 15-ounce cans of cannellini beans.
Okay, so we've taken our chicken out of our pot. It's done, it's getting ready to get shredded. But what I did is I turned up the temperature on the stove just a little bit, and then as you saw, I added in that broth and those 2 cans of beans. So once our chicken is shredded, we're gonna add it back to the pot along with the rest of our ingredients.
So as you can see here, I'm adding in another 32 ounces of chicken broth. And after that, I then added our shredded chicken back to the pot. After having added the shredded chicken back into the pot, I then seasoned the chili with 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2.5 tablespoons of cumin, 1 tablespoon of garlic salt, and half a tablespoon of coarse kosher salt. After having added in all my seasonings, I then mixed everything together and added a little bit of fresh cilantro for taste. So once I mixed all my ingredients together, I let them simmer for about 10 minutes, and I then added in 2 8-ounce bricks of cream cheese. So once you add in your cream cheese, you want to be sure to break it up and continue to stir it. And it might curdle a little bit, but that's perfectly fine because eventually it'll look like this. And what I added in there was 8 ounces of Monterey Jack cheese. And as you can see here, I continued to stir it just so that the cheese didn't stick to the bottom and burn.
Alright, so our chili is done. It's on the back burner on low temperature, melting together, getting all delicious. So now what I'm going to do is make our loaded spoon bread. So the first step that you want to do is cook some bacon. So I've got an entire pack of bacon here. It's 1 pound, and I'm going to cook it until it's especially crispy. And you want to cook it that way as opposed to how you eat breakfast at bacon, which say may be not as crispy, so that when you put it in the spoon bread, it can keep its texture as opposed to kind of getting floppy.
So I had my pan on about a medium temperature, and I cooked my bacon in batches of 4. This is not required. If you have a larger pan, if you'd like to cook your bacon on a higher temperature to cook it faster, you are more than welcome to do so. So here's the bacon after I flipped it the first time, and then here's the bacon in its final phase of crispiness.
All right, you guys, so our bacon is all done. Here it is, all nice and crispy and whatnot. And I'm gonna crumble that up by hand here in a minute. But what I have in this bowl is 2 containers of store-bought cornbread mix, and I'm gonna make it as the box says, but just double the recipe. So instead of using 1 egg, I'll use 2. So I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna add that crumbled up bacon to it. I'm then going to add 8 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese and 2 4-ounce containers of diced jalapeños. And mix it all together and put it in this cast iron skillet and pop it in the oven, honey.
So as you can see here, I just made the recipe as I'm supposed to on the package, but I doubled it. So like I said, instead of using 1 egg, I used 2. I then did 2 1/3 cups of milk, and I just mixed it all together. So, I forgot to state this initially, but this recipe also calls for a 15-ounce can of cream-style corn. That's what makes it spoon bread and differentiates it from cornbread. So after having added in that cream-style corn, I then added in my bacon, my 2 cans of jalapeños, and my 8 ounces of cheddar cheese.
Alright, so we're done mixing together our spoon bread mixture, and here it is in the cast iron skillet. So I'm going to put this in the oven for about 25 minutes, and my oven is set to 400.
So in this 2-quart saucepan, what you see is half a cup of honey that I let cook down, that I then added 4 tablespoons of butter to, as well as half a cup of jalapeno juice. Once you've added in all your ingredients, be sure to continue to stir the mixture until the butter is completely melted and you see it begin to bubble.
Alright, you guys, so we just took our loaded spoon bread out of the oven and it is perfectly golden brown. But now we're going to take our jalapeno honey butter sauce and we're just going to brush it over, and then we'll be ready to plate and eat.
So as you can see here, I'm just plating the chili at this point, and you can top this off with whatever you like, honey, if anything at all. But I decided to top mine off with some cheddar jack cheese, some fresh cilantro, some avocado, and some sour cream, both of which help cool down the little bit of heat this soup does have. Now, onto this spoon bread. This spoon bread is absolutely delicious, but it is also very, very soft, and as you can see here, I had a little bit of difficulty cutting it and getting out of the pan. To help with this, I'd suggest putting it in an 8x8 pan as opposed to the cast iron pan I use, so that way you do not have the same struggle I had. Here is a picture of our final product.
Let's try it. I'm usually pretty humble, but I put my foot in this one.